welcome to Catholic Life, ordinary people with extraordinary faith. I'm Deacon Jodi Moscona. Thank you for joining us today. We're so glad that you did. We're going to talk about the whole pro-life movement. We're gonna talk a lot of different things. There's a lot of moving parts going on right now, and I'm really blessed today to talk to the brand new Associate Director of Louisiana Right to Life, Angie Thomas, who we know from the Women's New Life Center originally.
Yes.
So congratulations on your new job.
Thank you. It's been quite a blessing, and it's great to be here.
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. So tell us a little bit about the change and what's going. We're going to get into the issues, but tell us a little bit of just a little background.
Yes, certainly. So I worked at Women's New Life Center for almost 20 years, right from the very beginning. I started as a volunteer, and then right after law school started, I really felt called to, to really be in that social service setting where we were helping one woman at a time, one heart at a time. The pro-life movement was always on my heart, but the Lord started to lead me to think that maybe I had a different chapter. So we've been planning for several years. We have a great new CEO, Allison Millette is her name, over the Baton Rouge and New Orleans offices. So Women's New Life Center is doing great. It's actually Women's New Life Clinic now.
Right.
And very blessed to be in this new chapter with Louisiana Right to Life.
Well, that is awesome. So it's interesting that you talk about you're in law school, and and that's kind of me, because I was a lawyer for so long, and then the Lord will take you and give you the development of your skills that He blessed you with, the talents, and sometimes He'll deploy them in one way, and then He'll tell you to take them in another way, and basically He deployed them for the Women's New Life Clinic, and now you're in the lobbying world, which is more what you were trained to do. That's right. So it's the way God will take us and mold us and use us as He wants. So congratulations. So
true. Thank you. I've learned a lot about surrender lately.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just, if you surrender, He does that, huh? He molds you and brings us where He wants us.
Absolutely. So you work with Ben Clapper, and
yes.
Ben is a great guy. He's been on here many times, and love Ben. He's just he's nonstop.
I know. I'm finding that.
I don't know.
Very fast paced.
Yeah, I don't know where he gets all that energy from, but
That's
he does. Great. And I was kidding one time. I met a guy. I was on a flight one time, and I'm talking to this guy, and it turns out it was his brother, and he looks just like
way.
It was crazy. Yeah. So,
what a small world.
Yeah, small Catholic world too.
That's right.
So, so you're from New Orleans. Spent some time in Baton Rouge, but mostly a New Orleanian. Thank you for driving up to be with us today. The whole pro-life movement. We were in the sunshine era. We were blessed with a lot of sunshine for a lot of time. We were passing a lot of laws and doing a lot of things, and you were the recipient of that, where you were, but now you're a part of that whole effort.
That's right.
And we in Louisiana, are one of the best pro-life states around. And
voted number one most pro-life state in the nation.
And we're proud of that, and we it's because of a lot of hard work of a lot of people.
That's right.
And I'm sure you're learning about that now. So tell me a little bit about how your office operates, and I know the session just ended, so you must have been very busy. Tell us a little, just give us an inside view.
Yeah, it's been wild, and like I said, fast-paced with Ben Clapper. We had that session, and there wasn't a whole lot to do with pro-life work in that session because they were so busy with just trying to get the regular stuff. But the case really, the oral arguments were back in March at the Supreme Court. Right. And then leading up to that decision that came down on June 29th, and boy, did we wait at our computers for 3 weeks waiting for that decision. So it was really towards the end of the Supreme Court session that came down. We have been incredibly busy with the Love Life Amendment that will be on the presidential ballot this November.
Well, tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit. Give us the background. Yeah.
So the Love Life Amendment was decided by the legislature to be on the ballot last year. It was going to be on the gubernatorial ballot, but it was pushed back to this year. So what the Love Life Amendment does, well, it says that there is no right to abortion or right to the funding of abortion in our state constitution. That's a game changer because right now The abortion advocacy groups are scared. They're scared that Roe versus Wade is going to be overturned, which we'll talk a little bit about more of that when we get into the nuances of this case that came down. But they are scared, and so what they are trying to do is they're trying to do mini Roe v. Wades in the state courts. They've been successful in 13 states where the state Supreme Court finds a right to abortion in that Constitution.
Right.
So we're getting ahead of that and saying there is no right to abortion with an amendment. And so we'd be the fifth state to do that. Alabama recently did it a couple of years ago, where they have a constitutional amendment. So this is a huge moment in our state's history. And this is, part of my discernment to come on this team. I feel so passionate about this amendment that we're this chosen generation to get this amendment in our Constitution and protect life for generations to come.
And it's a shame that we have to do this, because the Supreme Court injecting this right that doesn't exist in the U.S. Constitution and all the state constitutions by the domino effect is what caused this, because really when you read the Constitution, where is there a right to abortion anywhere in that?
That word's not in it.
and yet we've been behind the 8 ball since '72 because of the Roe v. Wade decision from the Supreme Court. So
that's right.
So now we're fighting back.
We have been for a long time. It's a long, long road, a long war. But you win some battles and you lose some battles. But we all keep fighting.
Yeah, and it's not dissimilar. It's not dissimilar from a lot of other industries. Like, I was a lawyer for the billboard industry, and we had to go state by state and prove up just compensation, which is in everybody's constitution, but because of courts misinterpreting, we had to go back in the legislature and define things, and we had to do it state by state, and that's what's going on here with this amendment.
That's true.
So this is the way we've had to react to some of these activist courts have imposed things on us.
That's exactly right. That's how I explain it to people. It's like, it's just getting it out of the judicial activism realm and into the legislative process, which is where it belongs.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, of course, we would want a day where abortion is unthinkable and that there's, really a constitutional amendment protecting life in every state.
Right.
But long road ahead.
Well, we're gonna continue to fight the good fight, because we've got a lot of good-hearted people in our state, and we really do elect good members of the legislature. So we got a lot of background on that. I got an idea. Let's wait till after the break. We got about 5 minutes, and then we'll talk about what happened, with the Supreme Court and where we go from here. I know you've already alluded to the nuances in it. I know I've read it, so I got you. Folks don't know, so we're going to have to teach them.
Great.
But what I really want to do is I want to tell the folks a little bit about the whole pro-life perspective. So here you are, law degree, working, as a lobbyist, but really you're a one-issue lobbyist. When you talk about lobbyists, they have a bunch of different clients, and they go to the legislature and fill out the little notes and do all the little things for all the different ones. But you are a sole source.
That's right. A lot of them have a lot more of a budget to use.
Right.
Yeah, we make it work.
Right, that's absolutely
And we wear
true.
a lot of different hats in this role. I mean, we have to do more than just lobbying. We have to educate the public.
Right. So I get the emails all the time, and I'm on the list. So all the education stuff, links to articles, different things that y'all do is phenomenal.
Praise God.
Good job on all that stuff. So that's
Thank
good.
you. We have a great team of young educators. Really, they go around the state educating youth. And it's just, to me, that is so important, to make sure that the youth, these next generations, understand the truth, the scientific fact that this is a unique human being, and that we cannot do this to our most vulnerable. So that's a big part of what we do.
So when I was doing Catholic radio, so that's how long ago it was, the awareness came to me through somebody that was talking, and I don't remember who it was, but they said, this is the first generation who can see themselves in the womb because they look at their parents' sonograms of them.
Right.
So they can see that they were a person in the womb, and it bridges the gap of science and reality in a personal way, you know?
Yes, wow, that is profound. I can't say I've really thought about that, but
Well,
that's so true. I mean, ultrasound images, when I go speak at classes, I say, has anyone ever seen an ultrasound image? And they all raise their hand. I mean, this is fact. This is so well known, and that's, you know, that's part of the big decisions that have been overturned. Like, you know, if Roe v. Wade were to ever be overturned, I mean, we have so much more scientific evidence now than we did in 1972 and 3. So it's just that we just need to make sure that the world sees that and knows it and doesn't have those scales over their eyes.
Absolutely, yeah. The science, that's one of the things that people don't realize. The science that was put before the court back then was not science at all. It was academic insinuations about reality. You know, you didn't,
it was one man's opinion about reality, really, because there was no adversarial fact-finding process in Roe versus Wade.
Right. So that whole decision is, all of the pro-abortion people put their hat on that, and it was such a defective result from the Supreme Court, and we've been living with it for 50 years or whatever it is. It's just ridiculous.
It really is. It really is. And now I'm just finding that the other side has, you know, is just more emboldened, and they don't really even care that it's life. They just think a woman has the right to do that, and that, you know, it's more important.
Right.
So we really are fighting a diabolical battle here, where, you know, people are thinking that that's okay.
Right.
So, and in fact, for the Love Life Amendment, we just recently found out that the pro-abortion advocates have their campaign, and they have a website that they are trying to defeat this amendment with. It's called Louisiana for Personal Freedoms, and their whole goal is to defeat this amendment. So we need to make sure that all of our people get out there and vote, and make sure that they know that, you know, to vote yes on this amendment, because the other side will be out there trying to deceive. No
doubt about it. We're going to take a short break. So we're going to take a break right now. Before we take the break, in case you're not staying with us, just want to remind you of this real important amendment that will be on the presidential ballot in November. And it's real important that we get out there and we vote. We're talking to Angie Thomas, the Associate Director of Louisiana Right to Life, and we will be right back with Angie after a break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Another summer day has come and gone away from Paris or Rome, but I wanna go home. Maybe surrounded by a million people, I still feel all alone. Just wanna go home. Oh, I miss you, you know. Let me go home. I'm just too far from where you are. I wanna come home. Home tonight, I'm coming back home.
Welcome back to Catholic Life. Thank you for staying through the break. I'm Deacon Jodi, and we're so glad that you're with us today. We're talking to Angie Thomas, a friend who is the Associate Director of Louisiana Right to Life, and we're having a very kind of intellectual conversation about a very personal heart, issue that we're all very passionate about because it's so close to our heart. So let's talk about the Supreme Court. Boo.
I know.
So we were all
tough.
waiting that day. We got word it was going to come down. We were all waiting, and it was a big disappointment. Tell us a little bit about, from your perspective, about what the issue was, what the bill was, that whole thing.
Sure. Yeah, so really, I mean, this story goes back to 2014.
Right.
When Louisiana Right to Life realized that, so many women were getting hurt at abortion clinics. I mean, we've known that for a long time with all the clinic violations, but we were realizing that they did not have continuity of care. Then we started hearing from doctors about how difficult it is to assess patients when they just come into the ER from this botched surgery and they have no idea what the doctor did. And then we realized that every other outpatient surgical center in this state is required to have admitting privileges except for abortion clinics. So despite the fact that on all these TV interviews I'm doing where there's a pro-abortion person, they're saying, that abortion clinics are being targeted. No, they're not. They're just simply substandard, and we're trying to bring them up to the same standard that every other outpatient clinic has. So that's where it starts. And Senator Katrina Jackson, who has been such a beautiful witness of the pro-life movement, pro-life Democrat woman, she sponsored that and authored that bill. Well, I'm sorry, we have a woman author, Dorinda Boardley, who wrote it,
right.
And then Senator Jackson. And that bill got such overwhelming support from both parties.
Right.
Women, men, black, white, there was overwhelming support. Just common sense law. It just made sense. Mm-hmm. But 6 years later, we get this opinion from the Supreme Court. So we were really very hopeful about it, especially the standing issue, which is kind of a novel thing that we're bringing up, that I don't want to get too intellectual, like you said,
right.
But that the fact that abortion clinics should not be representing women when there's a law there to regulate the abortion clinic and protect the woman.
Right.
They shouldn't be. They shouldn't claim to represent this woman.
Yeah.
That's a conflict of. It's the fox guarding the hen house.
Right.
So that issue was really almost originally brought up in this case. So again, this decision to get down to that June 29th day, that moment where we started reading this decision, disappointing, for sure.
Oh, put it mildly.
Right. I remember just talking to Senator Jackson, and we had this big conference call, and it was just, we were all really, really upset. But I have to be honest, the more we read it, while we lost that law, and that is disappointing, there were some silver linings there. So I can get into some of those. So
let's talk about the overturn first.
Sure.
So it's a 5-4 decision. We thought, I was talking to Ben on the phone, and he says, I thought we knew how to count to 5.
Yes, I know, I love that.
I love that comment. And this, in and of itself, evidences how important it is at the presidential level to keep electing pro-life conservative presidents so that we can have the appointments to the courts, especially the Supreme Court, be people that read and interpret the Constitution the way it was intended to, and not, like we said before, read into it things that aren't really there.
Right. Legislate from the bench with your own policy opinions.
Right, and unfortunately, the court has become so political and polarized, and it's actually not. It makes the elections, like elections have consequences, and they actually do. So that's why we stand firm on electing. We don't care about party. We want pro-life people.
Right.
And
it's such a fundamental issue, And there are so many issues that are important. We all recognize that, but without a basic respect for human life, how can we get anything else right?
If you don't live, none of the other rights count.
I love that. Exactly.
It just doesn't matter.
And
So,
I mean, it's a lifetime appointment. So this election is so important.
yeah, because we do have one justice that keeps going in and out of the hospital on a regular basis, and eventually somebody's going to have to either retire, or they're going to be too ill to understand it, and that's when the next appointment's going to come. And
That's right.
And we need to make sure that we're positioned to get what we thought was going to be a 6th vote, but now is probably the 5th vote.
I know.
Yeah, which
yes.
is just hard, but
It was.
but it'll be all right. So let's talk about the decision. So basically, what happened was the law said you had to have admitting privileges, and on its face, the 5 justices, no, you don't have to have admitting privileges, which boggles my mind. But that's what they said. Why did they say that? What was their justification?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, they just said it created an undue burden to women getting abortions, and they really based a lot of it on Texas's law. So, interestingly, in Texas, the law went into effect, and several abortion clinics closed. And then, through the fact-finding process, that was how they determined that it was an undue burden on women. In Louisiana, our law never got the chance to go into effect. So all of this was speculative. It was all just, oh, well, if this happens, then this particular doctor who practices at this clinic and this clinic wouldn't practice anymore. And this doctor can't get admitting privileges here, even though he didn't really try.
Right.
You see, so it was interesting how they did that, but that's how they finagled it into getting what they wanted, which was they wanted those. Well, at least 4 of the judges really didn't want that law. Roberts was kind of an in-between. Ultimately, he did decide that the law was unconstitutional based on precedent, right? He used stare decisis as his primary focus.
Right.
But, the other 4 the dissents were great to read. Justice Thomas's dissent was just so right on, natural law, and how Roe v. Wade is just such bad law, not based on anything in interpreting the Constitution.
Right.
So yeah, so they just it's back to so this is where it gets a little confusing, but I'm going to try to break it down. So remember, we said that they voted on it because it created an undue burden. That's a standard, a threshold that was decided back in 1992 in Planned Parenthood versus Casey. Remember that decision? So from 73 to 92, Roe v. Wade to Planned Parenthood v. Casey, almost no regulations were allowable for abortion, which was terrible. I mean, think about it. Veterinary clinics were more regulated than abortion clinics.
Yeah.
1992 comes this new standard. Although we lose the bigger picture of overturning Roe v. Wade there, we gained some ground in that we could have regulations on abortion.
Mm-hmm.
So from 1992 to 2016, that's when it was just pro-life regulations, incremental legislation, informed consent, the ultrasound laws where the women can, they have to see the ultrasound before they get the abortion so that they know.
Right.
So that they're aware, because so many women say, I didn't know, if only someone would have told me.
Right.
Even like basic human trafficking laws, and to try to mitigate that in the abortion clinic from this, this perpetrator bringing this young girl in over and over.
Right.
So all those laws were passed. Well, in 2016, that Texas case that was similar to ours, the Supreme Court went further than the 1992 decision. And they said, not only can you not have an undue burden on a woman's right, but you have to show us the benefits of the law. So a lot of people don't realize in 2016, that was devastating.
Right.
And that's when all around the country, pro-abortion advocates started suing all of they started challenging all of the pro-life states, the pro-life regulations.
Right.
So here, there's an omnibus challenge of all of our pro-life laws. Well, up until a few weeks ago, they were really thinking they were going to get that. this case, although we lost, brought us back to 1992 and said it virtually eviscerated that balancing test with benefits and burden. It's saying no. A state can regulate as long as it's not an undue burden. So
good.
In a nutshell.
So we get so now we can move forward. We kind of had sometimes you take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, and then but you're still a little bit ahead. So the way it works out, we're still ahead. All of our other laws haven't been overturned,
Right.
And now the burden is different to challenge them, and they're probably not going to be able to win on that, which is a very good thing.
That's right.
So that's good, and when we're talking about, like you said, incremental legislation, it's very important because it gets us down the road a little bit to momentum toward the Supreme Court, and we'll set up a case eventually to put on the table the whole Roe v. Wade thing, and it's going to happen. But it's got to happen at the right time. But I just have faith, you know.
I do too. Yes, I remain hopeful. We'll get that. That case wasn't asking to overturn Roe v. Wade. That's just not what this case was asking.
Right.
So I really am still very hopeful, and we have so much work to do with adoptions, right? You know, right over here,
yeah.
the great work happening with adoptions. You know, we can't talk about overturning abortion without really advocating adoption.
Right. And that's where we take a hit sometimes. You know, you just want to deny their right without giving them protections. But no, we want to help women in all, and that's why the Women's New Life Center is there, clinic is there to help women, to give them an alternative.
That's right. We want to love.
Yeah, and that's really what we are all about. You know, we're really about protecting women who are so vulnerable, because even after they have an abortion, the devastating effects emotionally and mentally just go on for a long time. So.
That's right.
Well, y'all are doing a great job, and we really are glad that you're on top of it. Please send our regards to Ben. Tell him we're proud of all that y'all do. We're heartbroken over this, but we're not devastated. We're going to keep fighting the good fight. And remember, tell us about the amendment again. We've got about 30 seconds.
Okay, so the Love Life Amendment, vote yes on that pro-life amendment. It says that there's no right to abortion or the funding of abortion in our state constitution on the ballot this year.
Amen. So you heard it from the expert, Angie Thomas.
Thank you, Deacon Jodi.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and we're all behind you with our prayers and all of our heartfelt support that we can give you. Amen?
Amen.
And thank you for joining us today. We're so glad that you were with us. The pro-life movement is so important, and we just hope that you get on board and help us in every way you can, and vote for the amendment in November. God bless. Until next time, take care.